I have started the recording as soon as the recording starts. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's class. In today's class, we are going to look into the AC fundamental. In previous class, we looked into DC circuits, important questions, Ohm's law, Kirchhoff's law, and problems based on the Ohm's law and the Kirchhoff's law, definition of the power energy, and problems based on the power and the energy. In AC fundamental, we are going to look into the alternating current, as we know that whatever the household supply or industrial supply that is provided, and the form the power is generated is a AC form, alternating form. And when we talk about the alternating, we are using the sinusoidal waveform, not any other alternating waveform, not square or triangular. We are going to use the sinusoidal waveform, which is represented in the form of V is equal to Vm sin omega t for the voltage, current I is equal to Im sin omega t. And what is the alternating entity, whether voltage or the current, which consistently changes its magnitude and or its direction? That is called as a sinusoidal alternating voltage. The voltage which changes the direction and magnitude, okay, and or magnitude at a regular interval of time is called as a alternating voltage. And alternating voltage, we can when we apply the alternating voltage to the circuit, in case of a DC circuit, we know like there is only one type of a load, that is a resistor. In case of a alternating current, we have three types of load. Load can be a resistive load, or it is inductive load if we use the inductor, capacitive load if we use the capacitor. Here is the example. Resistor is connected to an alternating voltage source. Alternating voltage source, when it is applied, this voltage is applied, it will result in an alternating current. So when voltage is a zero, the current is also zero. As the voltage keeps on increasing, then the current will also increase. And during the positive half cycle, the current direction would be like this. It will start from this point, it will go through like this, and it will come back. And during the negative cycle, the the voltage is reversed, so is the direction of the current. Even the current will change the direction, so current will flow in the opposite direction. So every half cycle, the direction of the voltage and as well as the direction of the current will change. So negative half cycle, you can see the direction is changed. So this will act like a positive plate, and this will act like a negative plate. And how do we represent as a waveform? Mathematically, we represent the alternating quantity as V is equal to Vm sin omega t. So where V is the instantaneous value of the voltage is equal to the peak value or the maximum value of the alternating quantity into sine of the angle. So that is how we represent. And if we can also represent the alternating voltage using the waveform like this. So it can be voltage or a current. So it will take the form of a sinusoidal waveform. It is a function of the sine of the angle. When the angle is zero, the voltage is also zero. Then when the angle is pi by 2, so sine pi by 2, we will have the maximum value. In the equation, V is equal to Vm sine omega t. If omega t is pi by 2, then the sine of pi by 2 is 1. So maximum value that can be attained by any alternating quantity is when it is pi by 2. That is V is equal to Vm. This is the peak value. And after that, again, it will start reducing, and it will reach a negative peak value minus Vm when it is 3 pi by 2, and it becomes 0 when it is angle is 2 pi. So this complete is called as a one cycle. So it has a positive cycle as well as the negative cycle. What is the advantage over the sine waveform over other waveform? So we are using the sinusoidal waveform all over the world. Wherever the power is generated, it is alternating, and we are generating a sinusoidal waveform. We are not generating any kind of a other waveform, not a triangular waveform or a square waveform. If there are application where we require a triangular wave or a square wave, for example in electronics, devices, if it is required, that can be generated. But the power generation and power consumption happens in the sinusoidal waveform or the sine waveform. What are the advantages of the sine waveform? The sine waveform produces the least disturbance in the electrical circuit and smoothest and efficient waveform, because the magnitude is changing. So if you see here, the change in the magnitude is very smooth. Like, yeah, if you see the square waveform, at zeroth value, the voltage will change from 0 to maximum, and it will remain same. At angle pi, it will change from plus Vm to minus Vm. So drastic change will happen. If you see the sinusoidal waveform, the change is very, very gradual and it is smooth. That is why it causes a least disturbance in any kind of a circuit. Any kind of a circuit which is having a resistor or a capacitor or an inductor or a transformer. The use of a sinusoidal voltages applied to coil results in a revolving magnetic field which has a capacity to do work. If you remember, like whenever we apply a three-phase voltage to the three-phase coil, it will create a rotating magnetic field. That is the advantage of the sinusoidal waveform, and that is also one important question which we will see at the later part of our revision classes. And one more advantage is the math computations connected to alternating current are much simpler, because these are represented as a function of the sine, and we can do the mathematical calculation very easily on top of these functions. That is how it is. From calculation perspective, it becomes very, very easy. Now, how do we generate the alternating voltage? So it is a important question from exam perspective. Here we consider one conductor. This is the conductor. First, what is the principle of power generation or a EMF generation? It is based on the Faraday's first law. And what is Faraday's first law? Faraday's first law states that whenever flux linked with a coil or a conductor changes, an EMF is induced in that particular coil or a conductor. That is the first Faraday's first law. You have to remember, whenever we have to generate the voltage or the EMF, we have to make sure that the flux linked with that particular conductor or the coil changes. That is the principle that is used in every generating station. So all the generators, they use this principle. So EMF is generated by cutting the magnetic flux. So that magnetic power is converted into electrical power. Then second one, in all the derivations you in like a transformer, in synchronous generator and DC generator, we have the EMF equation, right? Why we have a EMF equation? We want to know how much EMF is gets induced. So how do we find the EMF magnitude? That is given by the Faraday's second law. The magnitude of the EMF generated is directly proportional to the rate of change of the flux linkage. First principle tells how EMF is generated. Second principle, Faraday's second law, tells how much EMF is generated. So let us stick to the first law. Whenever the flux link with a coil or a conductor changes, an EMF is induced in the conductor. So I have a magnetic field and B Weber per meter square. That is the magnetic field intensity. Then I have a conductor. This is the conductor. So this long conductor, we are going to rotate this conductor in this magnetic field. Okay, and we are going to rotate this conductor with a angular speed of omega, and this conductor is having a length of L, and it is having a cross area cross section area as A. And when I am in position number 0, you can see the direction of the motion and the direction of the flux are in the same. So the EMF generated at this position number 1 is 0, because it is not cutting any flux. Let us say we move it to the position number 2. Now the direction of motion is like this, and this is the direction of the flux. The angle between them is 90 degree. So maximum flux will be cut by the conductor, because it is moving perpendicular to the magnetic flux. It will cut maximum flux. So the EMF induced in this position is maximum. So if I plot this EMF induced in position 1 and position 2 on the x-axis, so this is 0th time when we started. This is 0, induced EMF is 0 at position number 2. So Position number 2 is this. Okay, at that position maximum EMF is induced. We continue to move this, and at position number 3 again the direction of motion and the direction of flux density is in the same direction. Angle between them is 0, so the flux cut at that position is also 0. So if we represent, this is the position number 3, then we continue to rotate that, and at this position the direction of the motion is like this and the direction of flux is like this. So angle between them is 90 degree. The flux cut by the conductor is maximum, but it is at the opposite pole. Earlier in position number 2 it was at the north pole, now it is at the south pole. The polarity will change. If I plot that, it would be minus em or minus vm, and then we continue to rotate and come back to the position number 1. Position number 1, again the direction of the motion and the flux are same, therefore EMF cut by that particular conductor is flux cut by that conductor is 0, EMF is induced is 0. So that is how, if we connect all those points, we get a nice sinusoidal waveform. So if we take somewhere here, if the conductor is somewhere here, what would be the flux cut by that? It is proportional to the sine theta. So what would be the EMF generated at that particular point? If the angle is theta, then it would be E is equal to Em sine theta. So that would be the EMF that would be generated at this particular position. So this is how we generate a alternating voltage. Now, if I continue to rotate this conductor, if I continue to rotate this conductor, similar cycles I'm going to get. So this is when I make one revolution of the conductor, I am going to get one EMF cycle. Okay, when you make another, you are going to make another EMF cycle. So like that, there will be depending upon what is the frequency, we will be having so many number of cycles. For example, our household connection, what is the frequency of our household connection? It is 50 hertz or 50 cycles per second. Means what? In every second, the current or the voltage in our household is having 50 such cycles. And if we connect this conductor, it will work as a EMF source, or just you can imagine it as a battery. Okay, voltage supply having alternating current. If you connect it to the any kind of a load, for example resistor, you will find the alternating current. Okay, alternating current will be following the same like this, and depending upon what kind of a load we have, we will have the phase angle between this voltage and the resulting current. So that's it. That is what is explained here. All the positions, what happens in each of the position. So at the end, what the E is what? It is a instantaneous value. Okay. What is the instantaneous value of the voltage? The voltage generated at any instant when you are rotating in that magnetic field, at any instant, the voltage is given by E is directly proportional to sine theta, or E is equal to BLV sine theta. And what is B? The flux density is the flux density, Weber per meter square, and L is the length of that particular conductor or the coil, and V is the linear velocity. Omega is the angular velocity, V is the linear velocity with which we are rotating the conductor. This three factors will decide what would be the maximum value of the EMFs generated. That is, BLV is nothing but EM. So how we can increase the maximum value that is generated in the that conductor? Either you can increase the length. If length is more, the EMF induced is more. If you rotate with a higher speed, definitely the flux length will be higher and voltage will be higher. And another way is you increase the flux density. So in these three way, we can increase the EMF, the peak value of the EMF induced. So that is how we represent E is equal to EM sine theta, where EM is BLV, which is the maximum value of the EMF. Okay, when we achieve that maximum value, when theta is equal to 90 degree. So when theta is 90 degree, when theta is 90 degree, sine of 90 is 1. Therefore, the peak value is B into L into V. And similarly, we can represent the current as I is equal to Im sine theta. Okay, and We can also represent this angle as omega t. I is equal to Im sine omega t, and also we know omega is 2 pi f. We can represent it as I is equal to Im sine 2 pi ft. And this lowercase I told you always lowercase I, lowercase v is a representation of a instantaneous values of the voltage or the current, and capital Im suffix Im or capital Vm or capital Em, they are representative of the peak value of the voltage and peak value of the current. And what is the definition you have to remember? Sometimes they might ask in the exam. These are very simple definitions. You can remember. Instantaneous value, lowercase e and or lowercase I. This is the value of the EMF or current in induced in a conductor at any instant. Any instant is what? If you see this waveform, I will show you waveform. Okay, at any instance. So this is the timeline. Okay, you can represent it as a timeline or an angle line. So at any instant, suppose if I take this instant, this would be the instantaneous value. If I take this instant, this would be the instantaneous value. So that is how we define value of the EMF or the current at any given instant is called as the instantaneous value. And what is a peak value or the amplitude? The maximum value attained by the alternating quantity is called as the amplitude of the peak value. We represent it as EM or VM or IM. And what is the frequency? Every alternating quantity is associated with the frequency. The number of cycles that occur in 1 second is called as a frequency, represented as a unit hertz or cycles per second. And in India, as you know, we have a frequency of 50 hertz. And what is the time period? Time period is nothing but the time taken to complete one cycle. Means you saw when we rotated the conductor, it started from position 1, 2, 3, 4 back to 1. That is one cycle. The time taken to complete one cycle is called as a time period. And time period capital T is represented as capital T is equal to 1 by F. That is F is equal to 1 by T. So your household frequency is 50 hertz, right? What is the time period of your household alternating cycle? It is T is equal to 1 by 50, that is 1 by F. So it will come around roughly 20 milliseconds. Hence, in your household, for every 20 millisecond, you are getting one cycle of the voltage or the current. And alternation is nothing but the time taken to complete one half cycle. Suppose in the exam, if they ask the definition, please draw the waveform and represent those values. So here is what this y-axis is nothing but the instantaneous value I or E. This is the peak value. This is the peak value, and this the time taken to complete one cycle from here to here. This is called as a time period. Write it as a time period. So try to represent everything on this particular waveform so that you will get the maximum value. And what is the equation for mathematical equation of this waveform? E is equal to Em sin theta or sin omega t or sin 2 pi f t. There might be a simple problems based on the alternating current. So the maximum current in a sinusoidal AC current is a 10 amperes. So what is this value? This is Im. Im is equal to 10 amperes. What is the instantaneous current at 45 degree? So we know the general equation of the current is lowercase I is equal to Im sine theta or sine omega t. So theta they have given us 45 degree. You put it I is equal to Im is 10 into sine of 45 degree, and make sure that always you take this value as a radians. You put your calci in the radians and take this as a radians, that is pi by 4, and you do the calculation. What you get is sine of 45 is 0.707. Therefore I is equal to 10 into this sine 45, we get it as 7.07 amperes. Means at 45 degree we have the current as 7.07 and maximum value is 10 amperes. So that would be at 90 degree. Write mathematical expression for a 50 hertz sinusoidal voltage of a peak value 80 volt. Sketch the waveform. They have given a peak value Vm. So mathematical expression for alternating quantity, whether it is a voltage or current, it is in the form of lowercase v is equal to Vm sin omega t for voltage. for current, lower case I is equal to Im sin omega t. They have given the frequency. Why we need this frequency? So that we can draw the waveform. When you are drawing the waveform, two things are very important. One is the time period. You have to specify the time period. Second one is the amplitude or the peak value. And using this t, we can find the time period and peak value they have given. F is 50 hertz, Vm is 80 volt, omega is equal to 2 pi f, that is 2 pi into 50, 314 radians per second. Our mathematical equation would be V in the form general equation, V is equal to Vm sin omega t. Vm is given 80, omega we calculated 314. Therefore, mathematical expression is V is equal to 80 sin 314 t. Using this equation, you can find the instantaneous voltage at any time. Okay, and waveform, when you are drawing the waveform, make sure x-axis is voltage and y-axis is time or angle, whichever you want to prefer. Now draw this sinusoidal waveform, specify the peak value as 80 volts. You have to say here Vm is equal to 80, and you have to calculate the time period. Time period is 1 by 50, that is 20 into 10 raised to minus 3, that is 20 millisecond. From here to here it is 20 millisecond. From here to here it is 10 millisecond. From here to here 5 millisecond in terms of time. In terms of angle, this is pi by 2, pi, 3 pi by 2 and 2 pi. Okay, next problem, an alternating current is given by I is equal to 141.4 sine 314 t. Okay, this is the mathematical equation of the current, alternating current. Find the maximum value, frequency, time period, instantaneous value after 3 milliseconds. So this equation is given. First thing is what we have to find the maximum value. So just compare this with I is equal to Im sin omega t. Therefore, Im is 141.4, omega is 340. So compare this equation with I is equal to Im sin omega t. Therefore, this is Im and this is omega is 340. Once you know the omega, then you can find the frequency. Frequency will come as 50 hertz. So once you know the frequency, you can find the time period. T is equal to 1 by f, that is 0.02. Now, one more thing you have to find is what is the instantaneous value at 3 millisecond. You remember, you have the formula I is equal to 141 point sine of 314 into 3 into 10 raised to minus 3. Remember, this is a radian. Okay, when you are using the calci. So t is 314 second, I 141.4 sine 314 into 3 into 10 raised to minus 3. If you want to convert it to degrees, then you have to multiply this with 180 divided by pi. Otherwise, it is radians. You get the value as 114.35 amperes. And make sure whatever the value you are calculating should not exceed this peak value, right? Sine of any angle is maximum value is 1 and minimum value is the minus 1. So next is also similar problem. You can just look into that. It is available in the notes. Some important relations. We already discussed this. T is equal to 1 by f. F is equal to 1 by t. Omega is equal to 2 pi f. Okay. Don't worry about this at right now. Now, the most important question from this part of the syllabus is derivation of the average value of the instantaneous voltage or the current and derivation of the RMS value. First, what is the average value of the waveform? It is the average of all its values over a period of time. For example, when we ask what is your average marks, suppose you have 5 subjects, you will add the 5 subjects divided by 5. That is your average value. So because alternating quantity, we can how to represent alternating quantity. One we saw is the mathematical equation, second is the waveform, but both are very hard to comprehend. For example, DC, if I tell DC is 10 volt, you know, very you can easily understand, it's very intuitive what the 10 volt means. But if I tell the alternating quantity as a equation, let us say I would say it as I is equal to 325 into sine of 314 t. Actually, that is your household voltage. Okay, So will you be able to make any sense out of it? It's very difficult. So if I ask you what is your household voltage, you said 240 volt. What is the meaning of 240 volt? It's the RMS value. All the voltages are represented as a RMS value. It makes more sense when we say it in RMS value or the average value. The mostly it is RMS value. That is what we use. And how to calculate the average value? How to calculate average value? We know there are many instances. For example, if it is a current at the instance T1, current is I1, T2 I2, T3 I3, so on over one cycle. If I want to take the average, then I would say I1 plus I2 plus I3 and so on, divided by number of samples or the number of intervals I have considered. That will give me the average value. That is one way of finding the average value. Second way is finding the total area under the curve. So we have the sine waveform. We can find the total area under the curve for time t and divided by that particular time t. That is how we get the average value. Okay. So in case of a average value, what is the problem is we know that the positive cycle is exactly same as the negative cycle. If we take the average over the one cycle, it will become zero. So that is why if it is a symmetrical waveform, then we take the average of a half cycle. If it is an unsymmetrical waveform, then we take the average of the complete cycle. Then what is the symmetrical waveform? Symmetrical waveform, if the positive cycle is exactly same as the negative cycle, then we call it as a symmetrical waveform. For example, sinusoidal waveform is a symmetrical waveform. And if it is unsymmetrical waveform, then we take the average over one complete cycle. So you have to remember, for symmetrical waveform, we have to take a half wave. For unsymmetrical waveform, we have to take a full wave. Next, average value of a sinusoidal current or voltage. This is what they are going to ask in the exam, repeatedly asked. This derivation is very, very important. We know that sinusoidal voltage or the current is a symmetrical waveform. So we are going to consider only the half cycle average. Okay. If you take the full cycle average, we are going to get it as 0. The half cycle average value definition, in the exam they will ask you the definition. What is the average value of an alternating quantity? What is that? The half cycle average value of an alternating current is value of the direct current which would send the same amount of charge through the circuit for half the time as sent by the alternating current through the same circuit in the same time. Okay, what is the meaning of this is, suppose you have a DC value, equivalent DC value. Let us say we will take our household connection, that is time period is 20 millisecond. We will take only half cycle because it is symmetrical waveform. Let us say in a circuit, I will for 20 millisecond I apply a DC, so it will circulate some amount of charge. Now if I make the alternating current for the same time period, okay, it is the average value is the equivalent of the AC cycle, which will also make same amount of the charges to flow in the circuit in 10 millisecond. That equivalent DC voltage is called as a average value. So once again, I will repeat. Suppose let us say you apply the alternating current for 10 millisecond, it will displace some X amount of charges. Now you will take one particular DC voltage, okay, and when you apply that DC voltage for the same 10 millisecond, it will also displace the same amount of charge. Then that DC voltage, that is equivalent of the average value of the alternating quantity. How to do the derivation? First is the average value of the current and the average value of the voltage are represented as I suffix AV and V suffix AV. We are going to draw the waveform, sinusoidal waveform, and we are going to consider a very small strip d theta. So this is the angle theta and this is the current. We are going to consider a very small strip on this, that is d theta, and this value is, so this is very small strip. This value and this value are almost equal, and I would represent it as an instantaneous value I. Now how to find the area of this one, and we know the what is the equation of this. this equation is I is equal to Im sin theta. Im is the peak value. This is represented as I is equal to Im sin theta. Now how to find the average value? I have to find the total area under the curve for half cycle divided by the half cycle time period. How to find the area of this one? That's why I have taken a small strip here, and you can assume this point and this point is same. So what is the width of this strip, rectangular strip? D theta. What is the height of this strip? I. And what would be the area of this small strip? I into d theta. So it is a rectangular, right? One side is I and one side is I and another side is d theta. So area of this small strip is I into d theta. If I want to find the area over complete half cycle, then I have to integrate I into d theta from 0 to pi. If I integrate I d theta from 0 to pi, I'm going to get the complete area. Then I will divide it by the half cycle time period, that is pi. I will divide by using pi. Now, area of the small strip I d theta, area of the complete half cycle 0 to pi I d theta, integrate from 0 to pi, and we know what is I. I is Im sin theta into d theta, and Im is constant. It is not changing, so it will come out of the integration. And sin theta integration is minus cos theta, and if you solve this, we are going to get minus cos of pi is minus 1 minus cos of 0. So this would be minus 2. Minus 2 into minus is plus 2. This is area is 2 Im. So how much is the area of the half cycle? This area is 2 Im. Now, uh, we will write the formula for the average value. Average value I average is equal to area of the half cycle divided by the base length of the half cycle. What is the area of the half cycle? 2 Im. And what is the baseline for the base length of the half cycle? Pi. Full is 2 pi, half is pi. So I average is equal to 2 Im divided by pi, or I average is equal to 0.637 Im. In the exam, they might ask you like derive the average value of the sinusoidal alternating quantity, or in question paper, previous question paper, you saw prove that the average value is proportional to peak value. So here this is constant, therefore I average is proportional to Im. Now, if you see here, I average is equal to 0.637 times Im. Meaning is what? If peak value is 10 amperes, what would be the average value? It would be 6.37 amperes. So average value is 63.7% of the peak value. That is how you can say. Therefore, you can say for positive half cycle, average is plus 0.637 Im. For negative half cycle, I average is equal to minus 0.637 Im. There are simple problems based on the average value. So here we have a cycle. The maximum value is 15 volt, and maximum negative value is minus 3. And if you see, the cycle starts from here, okay, and it completes here. So this is one cycle. You have to identify one cycle. Whether it is a symmetrical or unsymmetrical, definitely it is unsymmetrical. Why? The positive half cycle is not same as the negative half cycle. If it is unsymmetrical waveform, we are going to consider the complete one cycle. Okay, so we can use the area method. So area of this plus area of this divided by the time period for the full cycle, that is 0.6. What is the area of this? This is 0.2. So this length is 0.2. 15, height is 15. 15 into 0.2, I got this area. And what is the area of this? This height is minus 3 and this length is 0.6 minus 0.2. This is 0.4. So minus 3 into 0.4. If I add those two divided by 0.6, I get the average value. So I will show here. So 15 into 0.2 minus, okay, this is the integration method they have used. Both will give the same result. How much I will get? 1.8 as the area. Therefore, average voltage is equal to 1.8 divided by T. T is 0.6. So what is the average voltage? 3V. Now I can represent this complete waveform with a DC supply as 3 volt. Okay, that would be the average value. This is one more example. You can take a look. That is very simple. Same area method. The whatever the waveform that is shown is a unsymmetrical waveform. So you are going to consider for the full complete cycle. Next important question, find the RMS value of a alternating voltage or the alternating current. Definition of the average value is important. Derivation of the average value is important. Definition of the RMS value is important, and derivation of the RMS value. The RMS value of an alternating current or a voltage is the value of the DC current when flowing through a given resistance for a given time period produces same amount of heat as produced by the alternating current when flowing through the same resistance for the same time. What is the meaning of this? So first understand the meaning, then you can memorize the definition. Suppose I have a alternating voltage, I apply it to the certain circuit for certain time. Okay, let us say 10 millisecond I apply it for or 20 millisecond, then it will produce the some heat, right? It will produce x amount of heat. If I connect a DC voltage, which will result in a DC current, and if I apply for the same 20 millisecond, it whatever the heat generated will be exactly same as the generated by the AC. Then that DC equivalent is called as the RMS value of the that alternating quantity. Once again, I will repeat. I have a circuit. I apply a alternating voltage for 20 millisecond. It produces X amount of heat. I choose some DC voltage and I apply to the same circuit for 20 millisecond. It produces the same amount of heat. Then I will say that DC voltage is RMS value of the this alternating voltage. Okay, that is the meaning. So how to find the, so we know the definition, then we will do the derivation. Now, what is RMS value? RMS value is root mean square value. So we are going to consider the square values. Square of what? Square of all the instantaneous values. So now I'm going to square the zero value. Next here I have, let us say, 1 ampere. I'm going to square it 1. 2 ampere, this is 2 ampere. 2 square is 4. This is 3 amperes. 3 square is 9. This is im square, and so on. Now the advantage with this is now we don't have a negative cycle, because the minus 1 square is 1, minus 2 square is 4, minus 3 square is 9, minus m square minus im square is im square. So you are going to get the squared wave is a positive cycle only. So this is the a squared wave. And similar to what we did for average value, how to find the RMS value, we have to take the area, okay, area of the squared waveform divided by the time period, and whole thing square root we have to find. So square root of total area of the squared waveform divided by the time period. So time period, irrespective whether it is a positive or the negative cycle, we have the these values, we get it as a positive cycle. So we are going to, for sinusoidal waveform, we are going to consider only half cycle. And if you want to find it using the instantaneous value, how to find using instantaneous value? RMS value is equal to square root of I1 square plus I2 square plus I3 square plus so on plus IN square divided by N, where N is the number of samples. That is another way, using the area method or using a sample method. So RMS value, taking the samples. Okay, these are the instantaneous values at different sample of a time. I1 square plus I2 square plus so on IN square divided by N whole square root. That is the RMS value. Or RMS value is also equal to area of the squared waveform. So you can say area of the half cycle of a squared waveform divided by the time cycle, half cycle time base, that is pi. And we know that equation of the current, this current is this current is represented by I is equal to Im sin theta. In the same fashion, we are going to find the area. We have considered a small strip on the squared area. So this width of that strip is d theta, and now this is very small, and height of this is I square. Okay, both because it is a very small strip, we can consider both the sides are equal. The height is I square, and what would be the area? I square into d theta, because one side is rectangle. So this is a rectangle. One side is I square and another side is d theta. So what is the area of this strip? I square d theta. And what would be the total area for the half cycle? If I integrate I square d theta from 0 to pi, I'm going to get this complete area. That is what has been done. To understand it, very simple derivations. The area of the strip I square into d theta, area of a half cycle of the squared waveform 0 to pi integration I square into d theta, and what is I? I is Im sine theta. If you substitute that, Im square sine square theta into d theta. Im square is constant, it comes out, and sine square theta can be represented as 1 minus cos 2 theta divided by 2. And if you do the integration of that, integration of 1 is theta, integration of cos 2 theta is sine 2 theta divided by 2. This is 0 to pi. And if you do the calculation, this is pi minus 0, and sine of 2 theta is always 0, because whether it is a 2 pi or 2 into 0, sine of 0 or sine of 2 pi is always 0. We get it as 0. What is the area? Im square pi divided by 2, that is the area. Now how do we find the RMS value? RMS value is square root of area of half cycle squared wave divided by the half cycle base. And what is this? Is pi into Im square divided by 2 divided by half cycle is pi. Pi will get cancelled. What remains is Im square divided by 2 and the square root. So square root will go off for Im square, Im divided by root 2. Therefore, RMS value is Im by root 2, or IRMS is equal to 0.707 Im. Also, we can say IRMS is directly proportional to Im because it is a constant. That is how we can say the RMS value of an alternating quantity is 70.7% of the peak value. Suppose if my current peak value of the current is 10 amperes, then RMS value is 7.07 amperes. Now your household voltage is 240. Okay, what is that RMS value? So this is how do we represent your household voltage? VRMS, that is 240, is equal to 0.707 into Vm. Therefore, Vm is equal to 240 divided by 0.707. You get it as a VMS 325, around 325. That is how your household voltage mathematical equation is IV is equal to 325 sine omega t volts. This is for the current. And similarly, voltage VRMS is equal to 0.707 Vm. Very important definition. Now, form factor and peak factor. Many times they have asked you the definition. What is form factor? Form factor is nothing but the ratio of the RMS value divided by the average value. Remember, don't get confused. And I told you, if you get confused, you have two ways of answering the question. If you have time, if time permits, write both the ways, and don't put any kind of a scratch in your answer script. Okay, that will be taken care by the evaluator. Therefore, form factor is what? RMS value divided by the average value. Now we have calculated the RMS value as well as the average value for the sinusoidal waveform. What is the RMS value for the sinusoidal waveform? RMS value for the sinusoidal waveform is 0.70 times the peak value, maximum value. What is the average value? 0.637 times the max value. So max value will get cancelled. This will come as 1.11. Therefore, the form factor of a sinusoidal waveform is constant, that is 1.11. Similarly, peak factor or the crest factor, it is the ratio of the maximum value divided by the RMS value. Okay, so maximum value, let us say if it is a voltage, it is Vm, and RMS value in terms of the Vm, 0.707 Vm. So if you substitute those values here, max value 0.707, max value will get cancelled. 1 divided by 0.707, it comes as 1.414. So for a sinusoidal voltage, the peak factor is 1.414. Okay. So that is how you can find the peak factor and the form factor. Form factor for a sinusoidal waveform is 1.11. Peak factor for the sinusoidal waveform is 1.414. In the exam, they might give you any kind of other waveforms, and they might ask you to find the average value, RMS value, form factor, peak factor. We will see one example here. Now, we are taking a half wave rectifier. They have given this waveform. In the exam, they might give some other waveform. Okay. Find the average value of RMS value, form factor, and peak factor of half wave rectifier and full wave rectifier of an alternating quantity. So we will do it for the half wave rectifier. First, draw the waveform. The half wave rectifier, we have only positive half cycle and negative half cycle is 0. So this is the complete one cycle. So whether it is a symmetrical waveform or unsymmetrical waveform, it is a unsymmetrical waveform, because the positive cycle and the negative cycle are not exactly the same. So we are going to consider the full cycle. Okay, time base as a full cycle. I average area of one cycle divided by the full cycle base. So this area is 0. This cycle, this half area we already found out. Same way, you take a small strip d theta, I into d theta, integrate 0 to pi, and you get it as 2im. We have already done this. So therefore, average value is what? 2im plus 0. Why 0? This positive cycle is 2im, negative cycle is 0. 2im plus 0 divided by 2 pi, we get it as im divided by pi. That is the average value. Similarly, we will find the RMS value. For RMS value, we take the squared waveform. So we are going to take the square waveform here, and this is 0. The square waveform is 0. So we are going to consider the for the one complete cycle, because both are not same. You can say area of the squared wave over one cycle. Here we know that the second part is 0, and from the previous RMS value calculation, we know the area, we got it as im square pi divided by 2. I'm here it is directly taken. In the exam, you have to integrate first area of the strip, I square into d theta, and area of the half cycle, integration 0 to pi, I square d theta. I expand as im sine theta, and you will come up with this im square pi divided by 2 and divided by 2 pi. Why it is 2 pi? We are taking the complete cycle because it is an unsymmetrical waveform. Therefore, square root of im square divided by 4, we get it as im divided by 2, that is 0.5 im. In case of a half wave rectifier, what is the RMS value? 0.5 im. And what is the average value? Im by pi. Now, once you know the average value and the RMS value, you can find the form factor. Form factor is I RMS divided by I average, that is Im by 2. Just now you calculated Im by 2. I average Im by pi, you get it as 1.57. Now you remember what is the form factor of a half wave rectifier? 1.57. What is the peak factor? Peak value divided by the RMS value. Peak value is Im divided by 2 is the RMS value. We get it as 2. Similarly, we can do it for the full wave rectifier. So full wave rectifier, this is the derivation. You can easily understand. And if you see here, we get the same form factor. For the sinusoidal waveform or the full wave rectifier, we get the same values, because the RMS value is same. Im by root 2, same as what we got for sinusoidal waveform. This is 2 by pi is 0.637 Im. Then this is 0.707 Im. Same form factor, same peak factor. So here we have one example. An alternating voltage V is equal to 200 sine 314 T is applied to a device which offers an ohmic resistance of 20 ohm to the flow of the current in one direction, while entirely prevents the flow of the current in the opposite direction. Calculate the average value and the form factor. So this is nothing but it is a diode. It is allowing current in only one direction. It offers 20 ohm resistance. In the opposite direction, current is 0. we have derived the half wave rectifier. Those formulas are directly used. Okay. So Im is equal to what? Same Ohm's law. I is equal to V is equal to IR. I is equal to V by R. Similarly, Im is equal to Vm by R. Vm is 200 divided by resistance is 20. So 10 ampere is the peak value. Once you have the peak value, IRMS is Im by 2. How I got it? From the previous half wave rectifier, I am directly using those formulas. In the exam, you have to calculate. So we get it as 5 amperes. I average is equal to Im by pi. We get it as 3.18 amperes. And form factor is calculated. Please don't forget to specify the units. This is another example you can easily understand. We need to find the average value and the peak value. Here it is a step waveform, and we have to use the sample method, right? So sample method, here we have I1, I2, I3, I4, I5, I6. Okay, 6 samples are there. Each value is given, right? It is a, I think, current. Uh, current has the following steady values. So we have to use the instantaneous value method here. I have 6 samples divided by 6. So each of those values 15 amperes. So this can be represented as a DC of 15 amperes current. Similarly, IRMS, square root of all the sum of all the samples, sum of the all the squares of the samples divided by the number of sample. Okay, and the square root of that, we get it as 17.8 amperes. And once you know the RMS value, average value, you can find the form factor and the peak factor. That completes the AC fundamentals.